I started photographing the juvenile hall when I was 18. I photographed it for 3 years. To me, the abandoned juvenile hall was monumental. The most amazing place, totally unique, and the photographs I was working on were going to be important images in the history of photography. I realized this sense of monumental importance was seen through the lens of a teenager, and maybe without that lens the interior photographs of the juvenile hall would not have been as good as they are. But I, as a teenager, was given something to photograph that helped me work through depression, gave me a sense of purpose, and was an introduction of what it really means to be an artist. I was breaking into a place that teenagers of the past were trying to break out of. This is a multifaceted story that I will attempt to explain in a moment. So, what are your donations going to fund? The completion of my 20-year-old self's dream, a book in 3 parts. Before I explain the architecture of the book, let me say how your donation helps. First of all, your donation is tax-deductible through Hatchfund. Hatchfund is a non-profit organization, and the funds you donate to my project go 100% to my project. The artists chosen to work with Hatchfund have been vetted through the best artist organizations in the country. Your donations will go for creating 20 artist books of the Abandoned Juvenile Hall book. This will be the layout and printing of the book, binding of the books through John Demerit bookbinders, and photogravures of the interior images from one of the country's leading printers. These books will be sold to art collectors and institutions, as well as used for shopping around a published version to the world's most prominent fine art publishers. Now for the architecture of the book. Section 1 will be of the interior of the abandoned juvenile hall. These are the photographs I made from age 18 to 21. These photographs have poetry and optimism, and were seen through the eyes of myself over 20 years ago. The photographs of the hallway, for example, I had to wait a year for the light in the bathroom to stretch out into the hallway to give a sense of divinity coming from a particular room in the hall. Another is the chair at the end of the hallway, where I frame the outside landscape inside the lower half of the window to give the illusion of a framed painting on the wall. I am still very proud of these photographs, and it is still one of the most important pieces of work I've done as an artist. Part 2 will be the color photographs of the Rorschach ledger images. Inside the juvenile hall, there were many ledgers left scattered throughout the rooms. These ledgers were dated from the 1940s to the 1960s. Mold had grown through the veins of the paper. The ink ran and smeared, and as a result, when these ledgers were opened 20 or 30 years later, were amazing Rorschach patterns. This is particularly potent since this refers to the psychological aspect this institution had on the children that were incarcerated there. The third part of the book are the edited stories of the girls that lived there. This focuses on 12 to 15 girls that were detained there between 1968 and 1969. This was a rich time in history and hits on many key issues: racism, the Black Panthers, the hippie movement, the rise of drug culture, Vietnam War. All these events are referenced in the ledgers. The reason for using the girls' ledgers is because, 1, the female counselors had perfect handwriting, and they describe every girl vividly. I know what the girls look like, their background, their personalities. The female counselors were mothers who were trying not to mother these needy children. Here's a quote from one of the ledgers that sort of sums up this aspect. Quote, "They are all running around with their umbilical cords in their hands looking for someone to plug into. Not me, kid." End quote. This may seem harsh, but as the stories unfold in the ledgers, these are mothers who are going against a natural and societal pressures to nurture needy children. The stories of the girls in these ledgers are dramatic, funny, sad, and a unique window into history. This part of the book will be photographs of the ledger's entries edited into one cohesive story with 12 to 15 characters. This part of the book will read like a novel. So the end project is a hybrid fine art photography book and novel. Like much of my artwork, it lives between mediums. I hope you will donate to my project through Hatchfund and take advantage of the tax deduction as well as help me fund this project, more than 20 years in the making.